Alright, we've got 2 packages. We'll begin with this big one first. Then we got another slightly smaller one. No, smaller, not slightly small. I don't know. Like half the stuff. Excellent. Let's begin. First we have Cromartie High School, which is funny, and there's individual moments in it that are funny, and I can't help but remember the one humming story. It wasn't really an episode, but it was, you know, kind of a skit of sorts. But, I don't know. Otherwise, there's various things about it that are just conceptually funny, but I didn't care about as much. Side A. Strange. Let's see. 26 episodes on one disc. Oh, this must be SD on BD or something like that. Well, something like that. Next up, we have a Cutie Honey, a Cutie Honey complete collection. Okay. I don't remember my various Cutie Honeys. Okay, that's part of her onigiri. Okay, that other one. Yeah. It is. What is that? Oh, it did come off. Okay. That was definitely strange. See, I did mention that one is English dubbed. What regions was this? Looks like region A only. Okay, and then taking a look at this, I see an English dub. Region A only. Okay. And I can't pretend to tell you which Cutie Honey this is, or the whole relation of all this stuff. I swear there's a handful of stuff out there, but I just don't know what it all is. Oh, I put this over to the side here. Jesus. Feeling a little scatterbrained tonight, I suppose. Next up, we have Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha Reflection, which I'm not quite sure what that is. I guess let's take the thing. I'm pretty sure the camera microphone is probably picking up me setting the magnifying glass to the side of the camera down. I'm using it to see the itty bitty screen on this camcorder a little bit better, so I can see stuff better. But let's take a look. So 2 Japanese tracks, so subtitled only. I kind of expected that. 1 movie. What would you do to save everything you love? Okay, well, I guess I don't know what this is in the grand scheme of all the Nanoha stuff. No, that looks like younger versions of them, so non-strikers. But what are the other characters I'm looking at? I'm not sure. Oh, did I look at stuff in the back? I did, that's right. Japanese region A. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, this is Eastern Star Discotheque. I guess I'm not quite sure what the age of this is. But, it's Nanoha, so it could be anywhere between, like, recent to a couple decades ago. A Couple of Cuckoos, Volume 1. That is a 1. Okay. Taking a look at the back. Audio. Looks like there's English, French, German, and Japanese on here, as well as English, French, and German subtitles. Interesting. Region A and B. I guess that makes sense, because Oh, and different underneath the slipcover. That's always nice. I guess that makes sense, because if it's regions A and B, then, you know, that means a European release as well, or could be imported by Europe. And while English dub does mean that there's countries that it can reach over there, French and German, there's even more countries. That's it. I have absolutely no idea what this show is about. I'm having even more trouble telling. I mean, it looks like school slice of life, maybe rom-com, but I'm not entirely sure of everything. Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs on Blu-ray. That's 52 episodes on standard definition. Okay. English only. What was this again? Star Rider and... From the creators of Voltron. Region A only. Interesting. What does that say? Pure. Okay. Well, I guess, I mean, the name sounds familiar, so I'm pretty sure I've at least gotten some of this on DVD before. Not all of it. 52 episodes is quite a bit. But it's interesting that this is dubbed only, because that kind of suggests that, you know, Discotheque Eastern Star tends to do a follow-up Japanese version of a lot of stuff, so I guess we'll have to see. My Master Has No Tail. Let's see, looking at the back, I see Japanese with English subtitles only. Region A only, 13 episodes on 2 discs. Excuse me. Alright. Not sure what to think about it. Next up we have Shadow House. Second season. I already have the first season? Interesting. I don't remember that. Audio, that's Japanese and English. Is there? Yes, that's right, the region. Regions A and B. Excuse me, Jesus. Different underneath the slipcover. Jesus, I'm not sure where that came from. Sorry about that. And then, geez, come on, throat. Last but not least, Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2. Limited edition version. I don't remember this being long enough for there to be a part 1, part 2. Well, let's see. Looking at the back, English dub. Regions A and B. Yeah, and just season 2. It doesn't even say season 2, part 1, or anything like that. So if we take a look, Different underneath the slipcover. Some neat art. Which is which? This is Blu-ray. DVD. So does that make the DVD version superior because it has Raphtalia on it? Not that Naofumi's a bad character, but I don't know, Raphtalia. Next we have an art book. Oh, I see some text-heavy sections there and some really big art near the back. It's pretty cool. And then last but not least, this box contains art cards and a fabric poster. I guess I'll set this to the side for now. Caught on the corner there, there we go. We have those, and then we've got this fabric poster. Hopefully it's a poster, because it's obviously Raphtalia wearing a summer dress or something like that. I'm having trouble finding the opening. I keep feeling like it's here. Did I rip it? Can I seal it again? Not that it needs to be sealed, but I don't know. I guess I'm mostly curious if there's more to it than just Raphtalia. Oh, look, there's Philo as well. It's kind of hard to show it all on camera, but you know, it's that's the rough idea, I suppose. Hopefully, y'all can at least enjoy the rough idea. Now the only question is, am I going to do any more with this? Maybe put it back in the plastic, just because it's going to get put back in here and protected until I maybe never do anything with it, but I guess we'll have to see. Now the question is, can this fit in there as well? That looks like a yes, so I can just put it all together like that. Alright, thanks for bearing with me. Here's this week's anime. Oops. Here's this week's anime DVD collection update. Alright, let's see if I can get down this list pretty quickly. For starters, you know, at the top of the list is the stuff I tend to watch with my Friday friend and not currently airing stuff, which is of course rewatching season 1 of Jobless Reincarnation, in this case dubbed. And I think it's worthwhile to mention that Well, I think that there's elements of the original subtitled version I probably enjoyed more. I think most of the stuff, especially this part, I find to work perfectly fine. I even mentioned how earlier on, for some reason, Paul didn't feel right, but he feels perfectly fine when he shows back up in the episodes we watch, which is 12 through 16. And I'm pretty sure I commented the same back when I first watched it, but fuck Paul. Jesus Christ. I mean, he's deliberately putting things in the worst and most unreasonable light possible. Just not being very, I find it completely, maybe not completely, but maybe like 99% impossible to empathize with what he's dealing with. Because he's choosing to be such a butt munch about it. But, yeah. I remember that stuff. And rewatching some of this stuff, like, everything that's happening here has been also really relevant in the Season 2 stuff I've been watching, so it's definitely nice to cover it all again and say, wait a second. Because there's a lot more being said in these earlier episodes than I would have known at the time. So it's very interesting. And then, of course, I should go on from that to Season 2, Episode 9, which didn't follow up related to stuff from the previous episode like I was maybe kind of hoping it would, but it did do some very important stuff as well. I'm definitely very curious where it's going from there, because important story stuff is happening. And I would say this is the first episode that doesn't as strongly make me want to go back and rewatch this episode per se. It's like the past 4 episodes have definitely been like that. This one, maybe. But it's harder to say for certain without maybe spoiling it, so I'm not going to. Hulk episode 8, I think it got back on the right track. I mean, I kind of knew that episode 7 was going to be the way it was going to be, and that episode 8 would be the kind of follow-up it was going to be, where it's like, okay, episode 7, well, I want to see our titular character, and I want to see them get involved in these important happenstances, and not, I don't want to see stuff developing without them, per se. So, this one was the episode about starting to get them back into play, I would say. And it was entertaining in that regard, but kind of simple, and also kind of, what all happened in it? I remember a handful of things, but yeah, it was. Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts, episode 20. So this ended up being an interesting episode, but not in the way that I thought it was maybe going to be, but in a different direction. Which it seems to be the series not only doing something interesting in terms of what it's doing here, but also leading up to a pretty good season or series finale. I'm not quite sure what it's planning to do. Or maybe even a core finale. I don't really know. It's 20 episodes, so we could be getting close to the end of a series. And I'd probably know better if I knew how many episodes were planned, but whatever. Reborn as a Vending Machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon, episode 9. I guess it was an episode. Hard to say that it felt like the episode was leading it in a direction that would maybe be in line with the goal kind of established in the previous episode, but whatever. Undead Murder Farce, episode 9. Kind of a nice episode. If there's anything about this that's nice so far, it's that the previous story arc kind of put our characters in a position where they're competing against some other flashy names and faces, and it was fine and entertaining. Just worried about the show distracting too much from. You got to make sure that the show is about our main 2 characters, basically. And I want it to be about our main 2 characters. Maybe 3, it could be argued. It's hard to say, because they haven't done anything with the maid to kind of establish her as kind of a third person in there. Just kind of... She is, but it's just, I don't know how to put it. But anyways, this one seems to be kind of similar to the first story arc in terms of it being more focused on our characters and maybe not being too overly distracted by a bunch of other characters, possibly. And distracted is kind of a word I'd use air quotes there, because I'm not sure if it was a distraction before, but it was definitely one of those things where they were playing carefully. Greatest Cleric. So last week I actually missed that 2 episodes had aired. So I only watched episode 7, but actually episode 8 had aired as well, which is unfortunate because episode 8 ended up doing kind of what I was suggesting that episode 7 seemed to be hinting. So 8 confirmed that 7 might have been setting up what I thought it did set up, and that's, is what our character doing kind of notable? And I think so. I think, there's elements of it that are surprising people. I'm trying to think if there was anything new about episode 9. I guess they started establishing that, but it's starting to feel a bit better this late in the series, where there's just like the show feels like some of the jokes and stuck stuff it's done haven't felt like stuck jokes. Oh, it's a little bit of the same story slash joke slash material. It feels like it's finally showing signs of concepts of growth. Still leaves a lot of questions in my mind for certain things, but whatever. It's entertaining. Let's see, the most heretical last boss queen from villains to savior, episode 9. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what even happened in this. Oh, yeah. I guess that was some interesting touching stuff. Maybe not like groundbreakingly touching, but touching, I think. I say that, but I think I did tear up just a little bit from it. It was touching. I'm not sure if it's setting up anything that sounds like it's towards a season finale, though, so I don't know. Rurouni Kenshin 2023. Fine, episode 9. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble thinking about it in a way that allows me to analyze it, though. And you may think, oh, well, he'd watch it. Well, okay, technically I put off watching the episodes of Rurouni Kenshin till the weekend, so I don't watch it on Thursday when it's available, but stuff. Reign of the Seven Spellblades, episode 9. Okay, I suppose. Kind of falls more in line with our characters are just sort of doing stuff, and I guess it's just stuff. Did something happen? I guess I started setting up some stuff at the end that maybe is interesting in the next episode, but I don't know if it feels like season finale interesting sort of stuff, or even core finale. So, a bit of a strange show. Again, not bad stuff, but maybe missing something that makes it, as a story, gripping for everybody, I would say. My unique skill makes me OP even at level 1, episode 9. An episode, I suppose. I mean, the show's this deep in, and, there isn't anything I would say is a goal, just sort of a meandering direction. But maybe feeling very meandering. Not bad, but just like maybe not gripping, I suppose. The Misfit of Demon King Academy, season 2, episode 9. Interesting continuation of the stuff that had just happened, and I guess we're about to finally get back to the main stuff that had been happening in season 2, especially prior to the break. I think also touching, but I would have said the heretical last boss stuff was more touching. Maybe a preference thing. Am I actually the strongest? Episode 8. I guess some more setup stuff, but it moving forward. Like I mentioned, it didn't reach the point where it showed us interesting stuff of a lot of people interacting with our main character. If there's any problem I'd say with this show, it's that they introduced this idea of the Black Knight character, and yeah, he looks exactly like Zero from Code Geass, so it's like it just sort of feels like it's just doing that, and I'm not sure if it feels like it's purpose. Like, it doesn't feel like there's as much purpose to a lot of its stuff. It's just sort of doing stuff and sort of going forward. maybe some idea of a vague goal in there, but at the same time, I don't know. It feels off, but I'm not sure if it's lacking gripping per se. Maybe there's a little bit something else to it. I'm not sure. But maybe the next episode could have some of that stuff. But the way they're setting things up, I'm almost expecting maybe not to see as many characters interacting with our main character as before. Its cast seems to be very targeted or something like that. I don't know. Classroom for Heroes, Episode 9. Let's see. I guess this felt like another Classroom for Heroes episode. Once again involving the interesting eccentricities of our cast of characters. Maybe not necessarily something related to the fundamental premise. Maybe slightly leaning in that direction a little bit more. Probably because it just wasn't doing weird technology stuff. I thought there were a lot of elements that were just kind of fun in a goofy sort of way. Not sure what else to say about it. Dark Gathering Episode 9. I think if there's anything about this that's good, it's maybe setting up a road bump for the end of the first season. As in, I say road bump, but I mean like, you know, something to happen at the end of the first season that's not like, okay, we're going to wrap this entire thing up. You know, wrapping the entire thing up could have been nice. But if they were planning to go more than one season, then they are seeming to set something up to be that way. And at least it feels decent in that regard. Some appropriate build-up, I suppose. But if it is doing that, it does also feel like it may be doing it a tad bit too early. So I'm not quite sure. But in terms of the idea of, okay, just introduced a new character, is it worthwhile to have introduced them? Maybe. It's hard to say that they bring anything to the group dynamic so far, but yeah, I guess we'll just have to see. Their introduction is notable, I would say. Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead, Episode 7. So I mentioned Episode 6 was just kind of hard. Episode 7 was hard to start because of how Episode 6 ended, and just like I didn't know if I really wanted to fire it up. Now, granted, I knew that by the end of this episode it would be fine. It's just that it's, you know, it starts up in a place where it's just like, this isn't where I kind of would have wanted the series to go. So I could say that's a road bump, but it's worth watching. I think it's... I'm still not entirely sure what to think of these two episodes, because on the one hand, what they did with... what they did gave an opportunity for the one lady to actually have an important moment, and it does feel like it's well run insofar as it doesn't feel like she having her moment detracted from the main character. So like, you know, that's something you always have to worry about, especially with shit coming out of here in the US, where it's just like, oh, they want to make a strong woman, but they think strong means some people call it emulating men, but the problem is they go well beyond that. It's just like they're supposed to look down on men, and then it gets even worse, because usually this is adding a strong character to a franchise with established strong male characters, and then they're just trying to intentionally make them look bad. And it's just like, okay, you don't build somebody up by taking somebody else down. Instead, that just makes you look like an insecure idiot. And Zom 100 did not do that. So I just want to say, it felt like, you know, this was something that would have been a pitfall trap for our main character. It feels very reasonable. He wasn't acting his best in these two episodes, but at the same time, we would not have expected him to handle them as well, per se. We would hope he could, but it's a reasonable trap for him to fall into. And she didn't execute in a way as if like he was a bad person, but instead just kind of, you know, as a good support character, because, you know, he's our main character. So this show at least understands that, and it ends this episode in a way where it's like, okay, we feel that, and the resolution, I'm not sure if it's the cathartic one that we wanted, but it is satisfying in a lot of ways. So I'd say a good episode, but definitely one where if I were to rewatch it, I'm not sure if I would want to rewatch it. So it might make the idea of rewatching this series hard for me. Sweet Reincarnation, episode 11. Like I mentioned, they did at the previous episode set something up that looks to be the season or core finale / conflict. Some elements of its execution I would say were fine. Some were just like weird. For the time being, there it is once again overlapping with, oh, here's this Isekai stuff versus, oh, and here's the fundamental premise of the anime. Although at least they're overlapping a little bit better this time. But just a tiny bit. So like, if earlier in the show it's just like, oh, well, of course he's going to get involved with this because how is he supposed to be able to make sweets if, everybody gets murdered? It's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't feel like it's unique to the problem. This one is still not too far from that per se, but it's more like, okay, he had a very specific kind of ingredient he was trying to get, and maybe not quite there. This stuff is in the way. Oh well, but okay stuff. Last but not least, Level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero, Episode 10. Which is a mix of an episode. I mean, mix not necessarily mix of good and bad, more like a mix of okay and good. Like, one of the good things about this is sometimes the way some of the characters act is very heartwarming, and sometimes the way some of the characters act is just like kind of over the top in a specific way, but cool. And this kind of had little bits and pieces of those in it. It was just missing, I guess, a relevance to some of the heartwarmingness, I suppose. Not sure how else to put it, but if it's setting up for like season finale sort of stuff, that's fine. And I think it kind of is. It means there's maybe 2 more episodes. Yeah, there's maybe 2 more episodes after this, and I could see that those 2 episodes leading to some sort of core season or even series finale. So, yeah, guess I'll have to see. But, yeah, that's it. So, for anything else, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. I guess Xenomorph got released in Dead by Daylight, and I don't know if I had gotten a chance to play it when I talked last week, because I was pretty busy. Hard to remember, but I've gotten to play as and against it a little bit. I've been kind of controlling the way I'm playing certain things, I suppose. But, yeah, it seems cool. I do agree with people that there are some things about it that just kind of sound like it's maybe not as well balanced as it really should be. But I digress. All I know is so many people playing as Xenomorph that the handful of games that I've done to play as them have been later in the Xenomorph thing, and, I've just been more respectful of the fact that, people kind of stare at me and they're just like, I don't want to do this again, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I just need to find a red glyph, that's fine. Everything else I'm doing is because if I, as a killer, interact with them, they get a more engaging game. If they really want an engaging game, then that works out really well. And if they didn't want an engaging game, then they escape with a lot of blood points. But I don't know, I digress. It's been fun. But weird. Alright. I think I'm mentally trailing off there, so I should wrap this up. Y'all, have a nice week.